Welcome to The Identity. Thank you for tuning in to Hope Channel. Now, today we'll be discussing about depression in relationship. Please don't grow weary as we discuss about depression, because it's an issue that is affecting the society. Not just the society, but the youth. Not just the youth, your son or your daughter. Tonight in the panelists we have Israel Okoth, who is a professional psychologist, and he's a professional psychologist, attached to Turning Point Solution Center. Also next to him we have Brenda Mbalanya. She's a forensic scientist. Next to her we have Sally Orico, a content creator. And finally we have Yvonne Alfreda, a professional musician. Don't forget to join into this conversation by getting in touch with us on our social media platforms. That is Facebook, The Identity, and on Instagram at The Identity 254. Join in and let us discuss about this. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
You're doing amazing.
Yes.
Now, somebody will watch and say, hey man, you guys are talking too much about depression. I mean, are you not growing tired, Yvonne?
Truth is, it can be tiring, and at times, you know, it will give you some crazy flashbacks if you've gone through depression. But at the same time, as we talk about depression, for those of us who are in the panel and have gone through it, it is also a healing process. But apart from that, there are many people who have been affected. We know there are people who have committed suicide because of depression. We know of friends, family, relatives who have gone through the same thing. And definitely we would like people to heal and also get an understanding on what is going on in our society this day. Yeah.
Ideally, depression, as Israel probably brought in some of the episodes, is a mental issue, and as much as there could be meds that will try and get to deal with this situation, so the people who are around you they play impact in the wellness of that being. Israel.
Correct, as you said earlier, that it's a mental illness, that if you are to go the medicine direction, it is never enough. It is never enough. You need to find a way of dealing with those emotional. And emotional pain is the worst kind of pain. But you need to be strong enough and face them and overcome them. Yes.
Probably could enlighten us. Are there a level of pains? You have mentioned emotional. Are there other level of pains which contribute to depression?
That contribute to depression. Understanding that depression itself is a mood disorder, and that now and then things will happen in your life and you'll not feel okay, but there are emotions that will trigger depression. For example, today we'll talk about relationships, because when you are to get into a relationship, you're giving yourself out there, and you're giving your emotions out there. If something happens and they're tampered with, depression may occur. In some instances, you're going to work. It may not be emotional, but you're giving your all out there, and you don't get something in return as you expected, and you will get stress that eventually leads to depression.
Amazing, Sally. Now when you talk about relationship, and in this case you're talking about a man and a woman relationship, this is something that is supposed to be beautiful. I mean, I don't know of a relationship that started off from a physical war, you know. Maybe there could be, but
I doubt, highly doubt,
happens.
but okay. Yeah.
Please add voice to this.
A relationship is, like you said, it's a beautiful experience. It's when a man and a woman have a connection with each other that they don't have with anyone else around them. It's what people call your better half. Those phrases, your better half, your rib, the person God created for you. But ideally, that's what a relationship, that's the box a relationship is usually put into, where it's just a man and a woman communicating together and loving each other for the rest of their lives, if possible. But sometimes, in that whole flowery imagery of that relationship, things do happen in that relationship. Yes, there's the normal fights, there's the normal disagreements, because you're two different individuals that have come together in probably in one space, and you're adjusting to each other, and now you have to live with each other and with each other's temperaments and everything that comes with the other person. And so many things can happen in that space, and that's where now things like depression can come into, because probably your partner is not fulfilling a need that you have, or they're being abusive, or there's something happening with your partner or within yourself as a broken individual that is not fulfilling a need that you have.
Brenda, I mean, if you're in a relationship and you see this is not working for you, why don't you just leave before getting into depression? I mean, it's easy. Like, oh, it's not working. Fine, I'm out.
There's something called attachment. I mean, it's not as easy as ABC to just one day wake up and decide, okay, I'm leaving. I mean, you've invested your time, your energy, your emotions. Probably you've even introduced this person to your inner circle, to your parents, to your friends. And then walking out, like leaving all that, it just doesn't click as easy as everyone thinks.
How? Sorry, I'm sounding a little bit, as if I've never been, but how?
Think of it as a string. At the end of the string, there's a hook attached to it. Now, the hook and the string is you. Understand? When you get into a relationship with that person, with a lady, you're a man, a lady, that string, that hook attaches to, let's give the analogy of a wall. The lady is the wall and you're the string and the hook. So now you're attached together. You've been bound together in some sort. So at the point where the relationship doesn't work, walking away is like pulling on the string. You're trying to let go, but you can't because you're attached to the wall. It means either you break the hook, you break the wall, or you cut the string. That's why it's difficult for some people. Like she said, it's all about investing time. The time of dates, going out to restaurants, going to picnics, taking walks, all these things. That's time, emotions, feelings for this person that you wouldn't have for anybody else, because this person is not just your friend. It becomes more than a friend. It becomes someone who can potentially be your husband or your wife, someone you potentially spend the rest of your life with. That's emotions. Investing in energies, money. Those dates, how are you paying for them? Those walks, if there's some places that you need to pay an entrance fee, there's food you need to eat, there's a bus you need to board, or there's a car you need to drive to a certain location. There's so many other factors that contribute into this attachment to the wall. So trying to break it, something has to break.
Now, Yvonne,
Yes.
you see the way she has explained it, she has gone all the way, and I'm like, well, that is pretty much a lot of work. Let me just be single.
That's your own choice.
Isn't that an option? I mean, it's a lesser stressful issue.
God created us as social beings, and truth is, after some time, there is that emptiness, there is that want and need to be attached,
or to be desired,
or to be wanted by someone else. Now, most of the time, it is usually the guy coming after the lady, but where we are living in anyway. So you find that if you choose to be single and you have emotions, hormones, things that are triggered that are supposed to be directed to a specific person, and you don't direct it there, you find people ending up doing stupid things such as sleeping around to unleash what they are feeling, because it has to go somewhere. And when you have hormones, for example, you want to release it somewhere, and that is in marital sense, and you don't have the chance to be able to release it there, you'll end up being what you're not supposed to be.
Wow, you know, you've introduced an element of marital, and I want to pose this to Israel. I mean, you have dated. Let me put a case in scenario where you have dated. You know, God has been faithful. You've been engaged to this guy or this lady, and God has been even faithful enough that you have walked down the aisle. It's expected that it's now going to be a garden of roses. Hallelujah, amen. You have a beautiful life ever after. I want to imagine that people who are married don't have depression because they have conquered the hassle of wanting each other. They are now living together. Is that the case? Okay, ladies, what is it?
Please tell us. Tell us.
Well, the thing is, for these two people to reach where they are, they started as friends. You asked the question why it's hard for them to live. You started as friends, so this was past someone who, whether they call or not, you will sleep at night. Whether they reply your text or not, you will have lunch. So you invest slowly until you reach a point. If they do not reply your message, the world has to stop. You have to find out what happened. Okay, and then you fix that, and then you get in love more and more until you reach a point where some say that there's no life without them. So that happens. So that is why sometimes living an abusive relationship becomes harder for one person. But you have to be stronger for yourself, because you either leave or the relationship will kill you. Yes.
And the case of marriages, is there depression happening in marriages, or it's just how can I put it, a good family that lives together, nothing affects them?
The thing is, as a single person, the stakes are high, and in a relationship, in marriage, the stakes are higher. Because if I am to undergo depression alone, it will be hard for me. But if I am to undergo depression with a spouse who doesn't care, it is worse. It is worse. It's like firing it up. And this notion that marriage is a bed of roses, it actually is a bed of roses. Because roses come as a unit with thorns and flowers. It is just not a bed of rose flowers, but it is a bed of roses. And there comes a time of readjustment, because when we tell each other our sweet nothings and everyone goes and sleep alone, and we wonder, wow, that was me. Okay? So I said all that, and I promised all that, and then you have your night, and then here comes that you're married, and now you can't promise and wonder. You have to promise and deliver. Yes.
Kusema na
So-
kutenda.
Wow.
So those hassles come, and someone starts saying, wow, so this is what I signed up for. And there is where the stress comes in. And if you have a good circle of support, good friends, and you trust your parents and you can speak to them, they can help you through. Because the first few years, the first few months after marriage is heaven on earth, man. But after that, the challenges begin. Because now you start seeing the person for who they are. You start seeing the challenges for what they are. Because sometimes they tell you, the lady tells you, I'm not a morning person. It's okay.
And
I'll always wake up and make breakfast. And then
It's a lie.
And then it comes the time that you have to wake up and make breakfast. And then I was conned. I need to go back for a number of cows. Okay. So that happens. And then you have to readjust. So meaning that some stress comes because of expectations again. Expectations. And if this stress is not handled well, then it will lead to depression. Because now it's like you're stuck together. And you can't just wake up and go back home, because you'll be asked, who brought this person here? You did.
True.
You're asked, are you going? You said, I will. You go to the pulpit and you said, I am all in, for better or worse. So worse has come, now you want to leave. So it becomes, you start dying slowly.
True.
And as soon as you realize there's a gap, you need to find someone.
Very true. You know, that also, before we get to our relationships as youth, is it possible, Brenda, that we could have broken parents who are influencing young guys, and eventually these people could probably fall into depression because of the influence they got from the parents? Is it possible?
It is very possible. Our first example is our parents. Like, even before we look at society or we look at our friends, our first example is our parents. Much of what we are is influenced by our parents, even from birth. You know, even before birth, until old age, if our parents will be there, they still influence us. So pretty much many of their traits, many of their attributes will be trickled down to us, whether consciously or subconsciously. So in a scenario whereby your parents are not exactly in a functional unit, and here you are with a potential spouse, and you know, in your head you're like, I want to make this work, but chances are high it may equally not work, because there's an example that has been set before you. So it's either for you to break the cycle or follow suit. But it's easier to follow suit than to break the cycle, because breaking the cycle requires a lot of work. Yeah.
Very true, very true.
Yeah. Sami, what she's saying is very true, because I've learned in my personal life that my expectations on guys has always been based on what I've seen with my dad. Like, he treats my mother as a queen, and I do not expect anything less.
Yeah.
And when I'm treated anything less, I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? I mean, it should be like a standard, and it has affected me psychologically since I was a child. And people always say people tend to look for their fathers or their brothers
In their guys.
in the guys that they date. And most of the time it's usually subconscious, and even the guys will say, hey, my mother, my sister. And it's basically an attachment with or without knowing, but that's what most people are. They react to that because that's what they know.
Sorry, jump in.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm jumping in. Because I pretty much said everything. It's monkey see, monkey do. If you see your parents are in an abusive relationship, that's normal for you growing up. So if for example a lady, a daughter in a household sees her father abusing the mother, she will see that as normal. So when she grows up and gets this spouse, and this spouse hits her, she'll be like, oh, he loves me.
Yeah, language of love.
You see, this is what it means, because that's what I saw my father doing. And in turn also the boy child on the other side will also see the same thing. My father did this to my mother, and this is normal for me, so I don't understand why this woman is complaining. You understand? Monkey see, monkey do. It all depends on the family unit from the very beginning. Are there two broken people who are coming trying to fix each other? Or is it a union based? I usually see this at weddings, where there's this thing called the unity candle. And these days there's so many other things like the sand ceremony and the tying or the knot or something. But the one that is interesting to me was the knot tying, where it's 3 strands. One represents you, the wife, the one represents the husband, one represents God. And they're tied together. And the two of you take part in tying this strand. And it's supposed to symbolize the unity of this union, where it's you, the husband rather, the wife, and God. So if your relationship isn't based on that, if your relationship doesn't have God in the center, then there's so many things that are going to happen that will affect how you live with each other as husband and wife, and how you're living is going to affect your children, because they're seeing how you live.
Interesting.
When you remove one of the strands, you find that something will break. When you remove God, something will break. When you try removing one person out of this union that has been tied up, something will definitely. It's like when we were growing up, when you're trying to do a braid, when you try removing one, this braid will not be the same again. It is messed up. Yeah, and that is where you find marriages break, because something was removed, was pulled out. Yeah.
And personally, sometimes I think in relation to singleness and to what you're talking about, sometimes social media and probably the exposures of life that we've had sometimes put us in a state where we want to be in relationships, but then we are not yet mature to handle a relationship. You know, to the extent when a guy who's not stable would want to get another person who's still not stable to have a relationship, and then it ends up that, well, I disappointed you, she disappointed me, I'm trying to live to a standard that is in my head and probably not my father or my mother, and then it ends up to be another depression story. And I think it's about time that as youth we're supposed to stand up and, you know, have an how do you call introspection, and go back to the originator of relationships. You know, go back to the author of relationships and ask him, "Oi, what's up? Is this my thing?" You know, before you go downstream, what's up? Then once you discover this, you go to Israel and his team, okay, you know, you know, because I think some of us don't even regard our mental state important. Do we all regard our mental state important, even before you get into a relationship?
Most of us don't even regard mental health to be important in the first place. So that it is one thing you don't even think about, leave alone not prioritize. You don't even think about it. You don't think about what am I getting into and who am I myself that I'm getting into this. And just to add on the question you had asked before, that do our families influence how or what we do in our relationships? There's a quote that I really love that says that by beholding you become changed. By beholding you become changed. And the kind of family that you live into becomes your reality. That anything beyond or less than that is not reality and does not work for you. And what that does is that it gives you expectations which are high. And in cases that you saw a behavior that you didn't like, it kind of makes some people go out to look for that someone of the same behavior, and you try fixing them. So instead of sharing out and giving out your love, you're in a business of fixing people. And when you're trying to fix people, it means, number one, that you yourself, you're broken. You need to overcome that thing that you didn't process well. Yes.
Please don't go. You're going for a short break. And after the break, we'll be discussing about how social media has fueled depression in relationship. And also we're going to be discussing in line to our experiences. So stay tuned until the end. Welcome to The Identity. Thank you for being with us in this discussion. We're still on depression in relationship. Now, we were on the discourse on social media and how it affects relationship. Thank you guys again for the insights. Now, there's this one guy I was sharing with regarding a photo that I saw on social media with this amazing couple looking amazing with their African Ankara print. And you know one thing he said? You know what? They'll just leave each other. I was like, oh, bro, what's up with the hate, yo? I mean, we are used to them, you know, we are used to them. And that brought in an image that, you know, you say about presenting the final product, you know, the ideal life. And again, this social media has fueled in a huge way depression in relationships, you know, in the sense that we get to compare with others. And my question would be, what could be the other cause of depression in a relationship? Sally?
Abuse. It could be physical, it could be emotional abuse. Emotional, women are usually more emotional than the male species. So things that relate or are connected to words, connected to feelings, will hurt a woman more than hurt a man.
You know, I like it how you say the male species. I say we are some animals.
A foreign creature.
A foreign creature.
Yes, so if you are in a relationship with a person and this man is saying things to you that you know in your mind are not true, but how he's saying them and how you feel about this person hurts you because you have feelings for this person. So when they say something negative or derogatory towards you, you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your
character?
Not necessarily character, but your self-worth. It's more about your worth as a woman towards this man. Because since, age 5, we are trained. This is how you're supposed to treat your spouse. This is what you're supposed to do for your husband. This is how when he comes home, this is what you're supposed to do, A to Z. So when that time comes for you to practice all these theoretical scenarios that you've been trained up since age 5, and this man is not reciprocating to how you've been told or how you've been trained that he's supposed to reciprocate, and he lashes out with his words, then it hurts your feelings. Then you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your self-worth. Am I doing this right? Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I appear to have hurt him in any way? And those questions never have answers. Never have answers. Now, if you find, if you're in a relationship and this man, for whatever reason, because of his brokenness, decides to let's call it retaliate or react in a different way, in the sense of maybe he didn't see what he needed from you, or rather he got what he wanted from you, and now he's seen something else in another a woman, and that action will come out in his words. He might not consciously be doing it like on purpose, but you'll find, why can't you be more like Yvonne? Yvonne does this for me. Yvonne dresses this way. Yvonne is better. Or if he finds someone in his circle, whether it's at work, at home, at church, wherever he is, he finds another female who is giving him what he thinks he needs. He will start looking down on you, who actually, and comparing who has you, and that in turn now puts you, the female, in a dark space, asking yourself all these questions. And when those questions don't get answers, then you start overthinking and answering yourself. Oh, I'm not doing this because Yvonne wears shorter dresses, so let me wear shorter dresses. Or Yvonne cooks this way, so let me try and cook this way.
You more of now go to a cocoon where you need to question yourself. In a feeling that you are falling short. Now, you know, when somebody is going to, when you're talking about emotional abuse, you know, there's some mothers, other elderly people who will understand, but then there's someone who's like, so what exactly are you talking about? What do you mean emotional abuse, Brenda?
Let
me try and borrow from experience. What really is emotional abuse?
Well, how do I put it? I mean, picking up from previous episodes, a woman always craves for attention, right? That's like the fuel. It just pretty much propels them to do anything. So here you are, going to the extent of even probably borrowing cash just to give your man or to please him, or alternatively going to the extent of probably sex is wrong, but you even entertain the thought of compromising just because
you want to keep this man.
You want to keep this man. It makes him happy. And deep within, you're like, this is not right. This is not right. This is not right. But you try to benumb your conscience because there's an object of desire you have. And all you're focusing all your energies, all your time, just to keep him.
Brenda, is this your story? Is this your experience?
Yes, picking back to 2 seasons ago, I shared it, but a sneak peek was, I once dated a guy, and he was, at that point I thought he was everything. So he's not Adventist, and at that point, you're thinking, all men in church are the same, so why don't you just go outside? And here he is, he's telling you all the sweet nothings, he's making you feel, I am the one, and you melt. And once he asks you on a Saturday afternoon, hi, can you come and see me? And you're like, why not? I'm done with Sabbath service, why not? And you think about it later, then it's not right. You actually call yourself, it's not right. But you're like, I love this guy, I really like him. He just makes me feel special. And then he starts making demands, and you're like, how can I keep up with these demands? How much more does he want me to prove myself that
You're worthy.
I am worthy. If it's cash, I have borrowed cash. I have sacrificed my pocket money. You know, back then in campus, pocket money is very important. It's very important. It's very important. So here you are sacrificing your pocket money, borrowing cash from friends, just to give the guy, because he's like, he's given you an SOS, and in your head it's like, this is serious. I need to go all out. Super girl, I'm going all out. And then
Being there for your man.
yes.
Yeah.
See, we said we grow a man. See, we said we grow a man. This is me growing my man. And then all of a sudden, he disappears. No calls, no texts. You ask yourself, where did I go wrong? Did I dress the way he wanted me to? Didn't I talk the way he wanted me to? Did I start liking the things he wanted me to like? What's wrong with me? And then you get a call from someone and they're like, do you know so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, I know so-and-so. I am sorry to inform you, but this so-and-so is not what you think he is. And I'm like, okay, spill. So she tells me everything and I discover he has a wife and a kid. And you're thinking, wait. Hold on a sec. Call yourself to a meeting. Have I been doing all this for a married man?
Oh, yes.
Have I been playing wife duties to an already married man? Do you know how thing feels? It feels, I mean, you feel like a bomb has been dropped on your head and it's just exploding, like it's continual explosion. You know, like continual tip, until you can't process anything anymore. And then you start wondering, okay, fine, so should I still reach out to him? Will he still call me? Will he still get me back? And you call him, he's not answering. You text him, he's not answering. Why did you do this to me? He's not answering. Like for him, silent treatment was the weapon. And that thing unraveled. It really, really unraveled me as a person. So, emotional abuse is probably most men, the weapon most men use. I mean, others go to physical, others are sexual, but emotional is the main weapon men use because they know we are
Emotional.
We are emotional. As in, that's like our Achilles heel. So if you want to target us at the very core, you just know how to pamper us nice and slow, you know, warm us up,
Go missing.
and drop you like a bombshell.
Yes.
Israel, let me bring you in like that bombshell.
I am not. For purposes, I am not.
Yes, he's not. He's a professional psychologist to just help us understand what is it that men really seek, especially in such a case, in regarding relationship. You know, because in her case, we can say it was a manipulative state. What is it about men, and what is it that men do in relationships that, you know, probably will fuel also depression?
Well, the thing is, it's not a man thing, it's a human thing. We just, because of how different men act out, actually that is the word, they act out because they also feel the same thing. So I kind of will disagree a bit with Sally, that women are not more emotional, but the thing is that women express their emotions better than men. But men also are as emotional as can be. So that is why it's a human need to love and to be loved. It is just a human need. Be it a man, be it a woman. So if a guy or a lady is always telling you I'm not ready, what they're saying is that they're not ready for you. Because if you are the right person, they will be ready. So the thing is, most of the time when a guy will do this, they feel like maybe they're the macho man. Everyone wants me. And then they will take their pick. So it is just an ego thing. An ego thing that I can brag that I have dated the most hottest chicks in town. When people are counting their grades and their monies, I'm counting my women. So it is an ego problem. So meaning that, number one, that man himself does not esteem himself. Because if you respect yourself, if you value yourself, you'll not want to collect excess. You'd want to collect better things.
Amazing.
It also comes with the what we call trifling of hearts. And it's not just one-sided, it's not just guys, it's also ladies. You find a guy leads you on, literally they show you all the signs possible. And after that, you get to a point, most of the time when a guy is coming after you, they'll call you, they'll text you, they'll WhatsApp, they go in your DM, they do all kind of things. Then after a while, they pull back. They pull back, and that is the worst emotional trauma any person can go through, because you don't know where you stand, and when you try asking, they're like, I'm sorry, I've been busy. When you try figuring out what you did wrong, they're like, there's nothing that it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Those are the words that they use.
It's not about you.
It's not about you. It's just
it's
me. I'm sorting out some things.
It's a lie.
And when it gets to a point where someone tells you, I know you've been having issues. You've been having a depression situation. Sort that out, and then I'm going to
Come
fix
back.
we will be together. That is messing up with someone's mind, because it is actually a scam.
Okay, I think I should probably ask this, because to some level I feel like you men will be watching this and be like, no, okay, not really. But then there are women who do this. Are there women who do this?
That is why I'm saying it is not only one-sided. There's a lady who will say, let's see where it will go.
We just entertain.
Let's see where it will go.
More like I'm evaluating,
Yeah.
I'm evaluating.
That's where you ask someone, where are you in life? And the person tells you, I'm weighing options. I'm weighing options. And you find a friend of mine was going through the same, and it is so bad. Ladies usually show it, but when a man shows it,
hey, it's
real. It's real. It's
very
real.
true, very true. And we've already had an experience, so to speak, with your journey into emotional depression. But then somebody will sit and say, well, when you talk about physical abuse, how bad can it be, Sally? How bad can it be? To
the extent it gets physical, it usually starts with emotional. Because most of the times it's just words being used. It's not, there's no contact, it's just words. It's making you feel some type of way. You get? To the extent it gets to the physical, that means that person has tipped over the edge. That whatever solution they were trying to find as they were progressing to the edge of the cliff, they didn't find it, or they couldn't find it, or whatever happened, that solution did not come at that particular point, and now the bomb that you're talking about, that's the bomb dropping. Where now it's physical. I'm trying to physically express what is broken in my mind, this emotion that I don't know how else to express it, and I was trying to use it with my words.
Somebody will say this doesn't happen to Christians. I mean, Christians don't go through this. Sally, do they?
Yeah, they go through
physical
this.
abuse.
Abuse does not choose race,
religion,
gender, religion, country. It does not. It comes from a broken place. Abuse comes from a broken place. Unfortunately, the type of abuse that has been, can I call it highlighted, or the one that's out there, it's the male abusing the female. But the reverse, vice versa, is also the same. Like,
please paint to me a picture of that reverse, or even the vice versa.
A reverse would be, you see, society. I put quotes because it seems like society seems to be like a person, a particular person or a group of people. The man is expected to be the provider, protector of a household. So now if the man cannot provide or protect his household, then there's something wrong with this man. You understand? So now when this man is striving to do those two things, provide and protect, not just himself, but also the household. And when he gets into a relationship, and this woman, because she has a certain expectation, all factors considered, and her expectations are not being met. One, because she's probably not communicating them to this man, or maybe something just is amiss with this woman. She's going to express herself to this man. Why can't you be like, Israel, what's wrong with you? What type of man are you?
And that leads to physical
now you see, the man won't at that particular moment start beating on her. Nah. That's the emotional abuse has started there, where the woman is emotionally abusing this man. You understand? So this man now has an esteem issue because his ego has been bruised. Now, a man and his ego are like two peas in a pod. You get? You bruise a man's ego, then it goes downhill from there. Yeah. It messes with his whole psychology. So you've bruised his ego, now he's thinking about his self-worth. What do you mean? Like, I work, I give you money, you have a house, you have a roof over your head, you have food on the table, you have all these clothes. You have a salary, which I don't see, as all these other things are happening, but you're not helping me. You're not helping me as my helpmeet, as my spouse, as this person I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with. Now, because men, like Israel has corrected me, are not expressive of their emotions, he will suppress it. And once he suppresses it, he'll deal with it. In his own way. Some men go to drinking, some men go to drugs. That's how addiction starts.
That's true.
Sports, indulging in other things aside of talking with their better half. Now, once this suppression keeps building up, because these women, we don't shut up. We talk way too much.
We talk too much.
We talk way too much.
I'm sorry, I just confirmed that.
We really do talk way too much, and sometimes we don't know when to stop, because this man is not expressing his feelings. You can't see it in his face, so you wouldn't know what I'm saying is hurting him. So this suppressed emotions keep building. It's like a jar of sand. If you keep building, filling a jar with sand, it'll eventually overflow. And that blowing up is that moment in the house one time when she says, "What type of man are you?" Suddenly,
Israel, I want to bring in as that has happened. I mean, there's a type okay. Anyway, is it possible for a man to realize that he's about to go over the edge and probably seek help? Is it possible, or it just happens like?
Problem is that when we're talking about the edge, we're talking about what is the word? A dead end, or rather a dead end or a rock bottom. So the thing is, it is so risky for you to wait for a rock bottom because you don't know what will happen after the rock bottom. Sometimes people hit their rock bottom and they are jailed because a spouse is dead. So once you feel the stress being there, once you feel you're off, once you feel like it's better to sleep in the pub and come and shower in the house in the morning, that is the stress. Don't wait for rock bottom. It's too risky. It's too risky for you, your spouse, and your family. Yes.
It's too risky, even a relationship. As you come to
Sorry.
As we come to a close, please advise as we come to a close. So what would be the final statement in regarding depression in a relationship to the lady who's probably gone through experience, or something that can be related to physical abuse?
I know it's hard to walk away because there's an attachment. There's a need of you to be reassured of something. There's a need for you to feel probably I'm in control of something. And by you walking away, this is you like letting go of all the control you've ever had. And in your head, it does not, at this moment, it may not make sense, because you ask yourself if you'll find someone better. This is the best you've known as of now, as throughout the journey you've had in your relationships. This is the best you've quote unquote had. And so if you want to like release, you're like, I'm not so sure if I'm gonna get someone better. I'm not so sure if I am going to probably experience this again with anyone for that matter. So naturally, you have those doubts. It is understandable and it is okay. But before you end up either being slapped
Or your hand chopped off.
or killed, your body stashed somewhere, only for your parents to find it 4 days later.
Through media.
Walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away, Sally. For somebody who's in a physical abusive relationship, a young guy who's been in a physical, please speak
A
to
man
them.
or a woman?
Both.
If you happen to find yourself in an abusive relationship, I'm sure that there's that one person you can confide in. Not necessarily your family, it could be a friend, it could be a neighbor, anybody. There's one person you can confide in that you can tell, help me. Because people, like Brenda said, it's not very easy to just wake up one day and say, I'm going. It's not. You need a helping hand. You need someone to tell you, wait, no, this is not right. Let me help you. Let me show you the way out. And this friend also needs to be careful in the friendship, in the sense that don't fix my crown while telling other people that it was broken to begin with. Don't try to help me so that you can be seen as the hero in the situation. It's not helping you as the person who wants to be seen as the hero, and it's not helping the person you're trying to help. An abusive relationship is the most difficult space that you can find yourself in. But I would like to encourage anyone who may be in that situation that first of all, you have love.
Yes.
From God.
Amen.
You have love from God. You have love from your family. You have love from friends. You have love from your circle. There's no need for you to go over the edge, hit rock bottom, and you know there's help out there for you. There's centers. Tumaini Center is there to help people in such situations where you need that extra helping hand to get out of the situation that you're in. If you can find it, the strength in yourself to talk to your abuser, because even your abuser is broken. Your abuser is also broken. If you can find the strength to talk to your abuser and help them come to the reality of their actions, then well and good. But if that can't happen, there's so many other avenues that you can seek help from.
Very true. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't add something greater than what they said, but then one thing that is real, that it's happening even to our churches. Just briefly as we close in, is that I once was speaking to a lady friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, who was dating a youth leader, you know, and their relationship looked good from the outside, but then inside the lady was insulted, diminished, dehumanized, and because she was dating a youth leader, she couldn't work out, because how would the church see it? How would my family see it? How would the society see it, like, you know? But then at that moment, it's proper to think about yourself. It's proper to think about what's good. Is that relationship bettering you, or is it dehumanizing you? And let's go back to the word. Is this the ideal relationship that God would want you to live in? There's no situation that you'll be in that you do not have a choice. You have a choice. Make a stand. Depression is real, and just as Brenda said it, before we get to hear that your body was stashed out somewhere or thrown in a river, or worse, your hands were chopped off or feet chopped off, and you have to change your life all over again, speak out. There will be help for you. Thank you for being with us in this discussion. Until next week, be blessed.
yasikika kote, mfalme jemedari ndiye anakuja. Makelele ya furaha yasikika kote, mfalme jemedari ndiye anakuja. Sema kwa sauti, sema sana, mataifa yote yasikie. Sema hata japo wakatae, ni wokovu wao waambie. Sema kwa sauti, sema sana, mataifa yote yasikie. Sema hata japo wakatae, ni wokovu wao waambie. Kama kweli wamechagua kupotea, uambie ili waweze kuchagua uzima wa milele. Kama kweli wamechagua kupotea, uambie ili waweze kuchagua uzima wa milele. Sema tena, sema sana, sema watu wote wasikie. Sema tena, sema sana, sema watu wote wasikie. Sema kwa sauti, sema sana, mataifa yote yasikie. Sema hata japo wakatae, ni wokovu wao waambie. Sema kwa sauti, sema sana, mataifa yote yasikie. Sema hata japo wakatae, ni wokovu wao waambie.